It all began with a scream and the roar of fire. In a quiet neighborhood nestled between tall pines and modest homes, chaos had broken the calm. Black smoke billowed into the afternoon sky as flames swallowed a small wooden house at the corner of Cedar Lane. People gathered, shouting, dialing emergency numbers, and watching helplessly as the inferno grew fiercer by the second. Among the cries and confusion, a frantic voice pierced through the noise. "There's still someone inside. A kitten. My daughter's kitten is still in there." It was Laura, a single mother whose young daughter, Emma, had begged to adopt the orange-furred kitten just weeks earlier. Now, Emma was sobbing in her mother's arms, pointing at the burning house with eyes wide in terror. "Flames in there. Please, somebody help her." Fire trucks hadn't arrived yet. Every second felt like an eternity. No one dared to run into that hell. Except for Max. Max wasn't a firefighter. He wasn't even human. Max was a golden retriever. A rescue dog who'd once been abandoned himself, and who now lived with the neighboring Carson family. The moment Max heard Emma's cry, something ignited in him. He bolted from his yard, leaped over the hedge, and charged straight toward the burning house. "Max! N.O.!" shouted Mr. Carson. But the dog didn't hesitate. He darted through the open front door, vanishing into the smoke. Gasps echoed through the crowd. "Oh my God, that dog just went in." Time stood still. The fire cracked and spat sparks into the sky. No one breathed. Inside the house, smoke curled through every room, thick as night. Heat pressed against every surface. But Max moved low, his instincts guiding him. His nose, more powerful than any human tool, scanned the air through the choking blackness. A faint mew. He followed it, through a collapsed hallway, under a burning rafter. His fur singed. His pads burned on the heated floor. But Max pressed on. Another cry, closer now. A bedroom. Curtains aflame. Furniture caving in. And there, hiding beneath a scorched dresser, trembling and covered in ash, was Flame. The tiny kitten locked eyes with Max. He moved slowly, gently, so as not to scare her. One paw at a time. He reached her, nuzzled her tiny form. She was alive, but barely moving. Max carefully took her by the scruff, the way a mother cat would. Then turned. The hallway behind him was no longer passable. Flames now sealed the route he'd entered from. Smoke surged in like a tidal wave. Outside, Laura was screaming. "Please, somebody do something." The fire engine finally arrived, sirens blaring, but hope was fading. Then movement. A window on the side of the house shattered outward. A firefighter ran toward the sound. "I see something move back." Through the thick smoke, a golden shape leapt out. Max. He landed hard on the lawn, rolling. In his jaws, the kitten, soaked in soot but breathing. The crowd erupted. Cheers. Tears. Disbelief. Laura rushed forward, dropping to her knees. "Flame? Flame. Oh God, thank you." The firefighter checked the kitten. "She's alive. Weak but alive. That dog, he saved her." Max lay beside them, panting heavily. His fur was scorched, and his legs trembled from pain and exhaustion. But his tail thumped against the ground. Emma knelt beside him, wrapping her arms around his neck. "Thank you, Max," she whispered through her tears. But Max didn't respond. His eyes were starting to close. Mr. Carson reached them just as Max slumped to the side. "We need to get him help. He's hurt," the firefighter shouted. "We're taking him with us. Get him to the vet emergency." They lifted Max carefully onto a stretcher, laying Flame gently beside him. As the sirens wailed once more, carrying them away, the neighborhood stood frozen. Not in fear this time, but in awe. A dog, who had once been abandoned and forgotten, had just risked everything to save a life smaller than his own. But would Max survive his injuries? Would Flame recover? The answer lay ahead. To be continued. The emergency vet clinic was less than 10 miles away, but the ride felt endless. Max lay motionless, wrapped in gauze and oxygen tubes. His breathing was shallow. Flame, barely the size of a glove, was curled beside him inside a padded box, and gently feeding her frail body. Emma sat in the back of the rescue van, holding her mother's hand tightly. Her tear-streaked face was pale, eyes fixed on Max. "He has to be okay, Mom. He saved Flame." Laura squeezed her daughter's hand. "He's the bravest soul I've ever seen." At the clinic, the staff rushed into action. Max was whisked away on a stretcher. Flame followed, her tiny cries barely audible. Dr. Jensen, the on-call veterinarian, assessed the damage quickly. We've got severe smoke inhalation, second-degree burns on his paws and belly. We'll need to stabilize him fast. Get fluids, oxygen, and begin cooling the burns. As for Flame, she was shockingly resilient. Malnourished, dehydrated, but miraculously without burns. The dresser she'd been hiding under had shielded her just enough. The hours ticked by slowly. The Carson family arrived at the clinic, joining Laura and Emma in the waiting room. Mr. Carson's face was pale, his voice gravelly. I should have stopped him. I saw him leap the fence. He didn't even hesitate. Dr. Jensen finally emerged, her expression cautious but not grim. He made it through the worst of it. He's unconscious but stable. We're treating his burns, and he's on oxygen. The next 24 hours are critical. But he's a fighter. Emma gasped, covering her mouth with both hands. Can I see him? Please. The vet hesitated, then nodded. Only for a minute. He needs rest. The room was dim and quiet. Machines beeped gently. Max lay bandaged, his chest slowly rising and falling. Emma tiptoed to his side. You're my hero, Max. Flame's hero. Please get better. We need you. She leaned over and kissed his forehead. A single tear landed on his fur. Max didn't move, but a faint twitch flickered in his tail. Outside the room, a small miracle stirred. Flame, wrapped in a blanket, perked her ears. She mewed, a strong, clear sound. Dr. Jensen smiled. She's gaining strength. That kitten wants to live. Over the next day, Max fought like only a dog with a purpose could. The staff called him the Braveheart pup. News of his heroic act spread quickly. Local newspapers picked it up. Social media exploded. A viral video taken by a bystander showed Max sprinting into the burning home. The clip gained over 1 million views in less than 12 hours. Comments flooded in from around the world. This dog deserves a medal. I cried watching this. Animals are better than most people. Is he okay? Please update us. People began sending donations. Toys, cards, offers to help cover Max's medical costs. Laura was stunned. I can't believe this. The whole world is rooting for him. By evening, something extraordinary happened. Max opened his eyes. Just for a second. But they fluttered open, focused on Emma, who had fallen asleep beside his bed. She woke up with a start. Max. Max. He blinked. His head barely lifted. But then he licked her hand. The room erupted in quiet joy. Nurses smiled. Dr. Jensen nodded. He's going to make it. Emma hugged him carefully, sobbing. You did it. You came back. For the first time in days, hope fully returned. Flame, too, was getting stronger. She began to eat small amounts, curled up on a warm towel. Nurses often placed her near Max's bed, believing their bond was part of the recovery. Mr. Carson leaned down beside his dog. You're a good boy, Max. The best. You did something no human had the courage to do. The next morning, the media arrived. Reporters crowded outside the clinic, holding cameras and microphones. They wanted to meet the dog who ran into fire. Not for glory, not for praise, but out of love. Dr. Jensen met them at the door. He's not just a hero. He's a symbol of hope. But even as the world watched, a new question formed. What would happen once Max recovered? Would his injuries leave permanent scars? And what would become of the bond between him, Emma, and little Flame? The answer would come soon enough. To be continued. 2 weeks later, Max walked out of the clinic. His legs were still weak, his fur thinner in places where it had been shaved or scorched. But he walked proudly on his own 4 paws. A bandage wrapped one paw, and there was a gentle scar over his side. But none of that mattered to the crowd waiting outside. Cheers erupted as Max stepped into the sunlight. Reporters raised their cameras. Children clapped. Signs read, "Thank you, Max," and "Hero Dog of Cedar Lane." Emma ran to him first, tears streaming down her cheeks. You did it, Max. You came back to us. Max leaned into her, tail wagging. Flame was right behind her, now healthy and growing stronger every day. She let out a soft meow and brushed her head gently against Max's leg. Mr. Carson bent down, smiling. Ready to go home, buddy? Home wasn't just the same house anymore. Something had changed, something in the whole neighborhood. Max's courage had touched them all. People left toys and flowers on the Carson lawn. Children would stop by daily just to wave at Max through the fence. The local fire department awarded him an honorary medal, engraved with the words, "For courage beyond measure." But Max didn't care about medals. He cared about walks in the sunshine, soft beds, and gentle hands. And about Flame. The kitten became his constant companion. She'd curl up against him every night, purring into his chest. Sometimes she'd bat at his ears playfully, and Max would respond with a lazy wag or soft nuzzle. It was as if their bond had been forged in fire, unbreakable, pure. One evening, Emma sat between them in the backyard. A light breeze danced through the trees as the sun painted the sky gold. "I think Flame was meant to find us," she said softly. "And Max was meant to save her." Laura, sitting nearby, nodded. "Sometimes the bravest heroes don't wear capes. They wear fur." Emma looked at her mom. "Can we keep her? Like forever?" Laura smiled. "Honey, I think she already decided that." The months rolled by, and Max's story spread further. A children's book was written about his heroism. Schools invited Emma to speak about kindness and courage. The story of a dog who ran into fire to save a kitten became a symbol of hope in difficult times. Max aged gracefully. His steps grew slower, but his heart remained just as bold. Even years later, people would stop to greet him, whispering, "That's Max, the dog who saved a life." As for Flame, she never left his side. Through every season, she stayed close, always near his paws, always within reach. And on the quiet mornings when Max would sit by the window, watching the world go by, Flame would hop into his lap, rest her chin on his paw, and the two would simply exist, together, content, and deeply connected. One winter morning, Max didn't get up. He passed peacefully in his sleep, curled beside his family, Flame tucked under his chin. The town mourned. Flags at the fire station flew at half-mast. A memorial was built at the corner of Cedar Lane, the place where Max had made his choice to leap into fire, not out of instinct, but love. Etched into the stone were the words, "Max, the heart of a hero. He taught us that love is braver than fear." Emma placed a single rose at the foot of the memorial. Beside her, Flame sat silently. She whispered, "Thank you, Max, for everything." And as the sun rose, painting the sky in warm golden hues, it felt like Max was still there, watching over them, tail wagging in the wind. The end.